I didn't have the biggest voice in the room, so it was always like producing is the best role for me. We sacrifice a lot to do this thing. How can things stay viable for us in our industry? Everything's a story and somebody's creating it. So I can't take it with me. My name is Lathan Hodge. I'm an exec producer, and I've been working in industry, television, film, digital. I would want to say probably one of the early digital producers out here in the space.
What I'm hearing from your side is you're on the side of using it as a tool.
I'm on the side of using it as a tool. I'm always trying to make sure that we're figuring out how we can be, good stewards of the planet.
Yes.
As we use technology,
Yes.
as the consumption power it needs, the data needs, storage and facilities and all those sorts of things. And also, I think the other thing is that from, my position is that you don't want to, we know that jobs are being lost
Yes.
through it. But things are going to, always continue to innovate. And how can things stay viable for us in our industry? Our industry is changing.
That is true.
Regardless,
That's true.
even if we were not proponents of it, it's still moving forward.
That is true. Yeah, it's still going to keep developing. So,
Mhm.
right, it's either you're part of the process of the growth and learning it, or you stand on the sidelines and then you ask what happened.
Exactly.
Like, hey, there's no work anymore. But there's, 100% like with the conversation that you're saying in terms of like copyright and what this is, it's a concern, and I believe creatives should not stand on the sidelines.
Mhm.
They should be part of the conversation, because a lot of our technology is developed by engineers,
100%.
right? They're
Yeah.
the ones who develop it,
Yeah.
and they bring it. But if we do not chime in, it becomes a product that we are forced to use and adapt to.
Absolutely.
Instead of how well are we part of this process of the building? So you're making something that at the end, I'm not tweaking, I am using, I see progress there. I see a lot of tools that are coming out with that mindset, but most of them I'm usually trying to figure out like, who's this product for? Because I can't, we don't move from scripting with voice,
Right.
like that's not how you write a script. That's how you write notes that you're going to use to listen after and develop a script. But again, that goes back to the human in the loop. It's like, this is a good tool. It can be able to have context, but who's feeding it
Yeah.
that? So,
Well, it was interesting. I will say this. I was at, I remember maybe about 3.5 years ago, I was over at AWS
yes.
in San Francisco, and it was the AI. It was an AI event, and developers in the room. It was standing room only. And one of my colleagues who I worked with at BET back in the day, he's been into AI from the beginning, from the onset. And he flew into town for it, and he invited me along. There were only like 4 creatives in the room.
Yeah.
Of a room of about over 250 people. And I was like, wow, okay. But it also makes me think about, too, the diversity. If we're feeding large language models and we're not culturally adding, things around different cultures,
Yes.
then it's going to be slated. It's going to be slided to one side, I should say.
Yes.
Right? So
No,
at the
that's
end of the
true.
day, it's like we have to stay involved for a number of different reasons.
True.
Elevating our art, elevating our processes, being efficient, but also from a cultural perspective, how can we're still part of this world.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I just did 2 days at the Startup Grind. They had an event out in Redwood City for 2 days.
Yeah.
Again, my background is a lot of people that you see there, there's everything AI. Like, there's a lot of AI startups just flooded, right? And I usually go to these things because I'm a curious mind. I like learning, where's the technology going? What's that technology? And also, I think for us to be able to serve our clients better, because these guys are our clients, is to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
What are their pain points? How do we answer some of these questions that they have? But it's the same thing. Most of them are engineers, and they're very technical, but they're no creatives. But those are the guys who are coming up with half of our answers to our problems. So I think as creatives, the days of just sitting back and saying, "Hey, just give me something that works." It's
Right.
not.
No, no, not at all.
No.
Yeah, I think the companies that work do have creatives around the room, and that engagement, that collaboration is important to have the collaboration because a lot of times, I mean, to their credit, they're solving pain points, but that
Yes,
pain point doesn't have the nuance of what we're attempting to do,
that's true.
and it doesn't speak to us in that way. I remember someone created about 10 years ago. They created a payment, a way that we could pay creatives on jobs they do. Because
Okay.
sometimes we have jobs
Yeah.
and independent production,
Yeah.
and you got people who are, different parts of the world, different cities.
Yes.
You're trying to make sure that everybody is, paid out on projects, and their process was to pay out folks, to help you with the payout. But it was so slighted. It was very difficult for me to use that product. I was like, if they had asked me about it, that was a
Just given them
conversation,
it's 2-step or
and I could have gave
3-step.
them a little bit more
Yeah.
insight, right? Or even some of my colleagues. It doesn't have to just be me. It's one of those things like, how can we better, participate in this process?
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna take us back to an intro.
Sure.
I know we went deep.
We went deep. We went
straight
deep.
into the
We
word.
went straight into there.
And at least we handle the biggest place where we are at in our growth in our technology and how the world is operating, because everything you look at online right now, it's all in that subject matter. But take us back. What's your journey like, for Lathan? Where did you start from?
It was interesting. I went to a school called Martin Luther King High School. I was the second class in that school. It was a brand new school in Chicago. We had a television station, and at one point, I remember we went to visit an NBC station in Chicago, and I was like, "Wow, this is incredible!" And our instructor said, "Yeah, our station, we're having classes. You should check it out, and you got your class. You check it out." And that became my second home.
Oh wow.
And I lived there. And that was at the time that was the time we were still running tape machines. And we thought we had some. We had 2-inch tape machines and 1-inch tape machines. And we had just gotten some of the first recorders in, digital recorders in. I was like, oh wow, we have some great equipment.
Yeah.
And it provided me an opportunity to really learn about the industry from academic level, but also a hands-on level, and be able to take equipment home, be able to learn about directors and people who were producing and directing, and understand the history of the industry. That was something that was important for us to study at the time. And so it's interesting. My background became one where I was studying people like Kubrick and Orson Welles and Paul Robeson, and allowed me to look at things from a director's point of view, even though I became a producer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have the biggest voice in the room, so it was always like, producing is the best. It's the best role for me.
And you figured you started that at an early. You just
I was
got
16.
the aspiration at 16.
Yeah, I was 16 at the
Wow.
time, so it really allowed me to make decisions on which college I wanted to go to.
Yes.
And I went to a school that was training a lot of professionals in broadcasting.
Yeah.
Versus leaving home. It was a school in Chicago, and a lot of the professionals from the industry worked at that school, that college. It was a liberal arts college in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And how did that journey lead you? Chicago origin.
Yeah. So it was the story was that basically, you get internships. By the time you get to become your upperclassman. I was able to, obtain an internship at the CBS station. And my internship was about to run out. And I said, I'm going to sign on for another internship. I'm paying to work, but I'm going to do this because I'm in the industry. And 2 weeks into my second internship, there was a new offer for a job to go into the newsroom.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was my entry into the industry. And from there, I was at that CBS station for 7 years, and finally got a chance to rise up through the ranks, starting as a PA. And the rest was history.
Amazing. And did you end up staying in Chicago, or what led after
Well,
CBS?
yeah, at the end of my journey at CBS, we had, um, I was one of those restless souls, still am, and me and my business partner had a production company.
Yes.
We were doing things outside of CBS
Yes.
because that wasn't moving fast enough for me as
Uh-huh.
far as what I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
And we had a television show that we had sold into to syndication called Travel and Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And that series was 3 on-air personalities. We were like one of the first adventure travel shows, traveling to 13 destinations around the world. We raised
Amazing.
$3 million as young guys, not knowing what we were doing, but we raised capital with our partners who worked on the Mercantile Exchange
Yes.
in LaSalle Street in Chicago, financial guys. And so they said, hey, this is something, you guys need more capital. And they helped us raise the capital. And then we hired a team and we became a production company, but we also became a syndication company as well.
Okay.
And we hired these syndicators to help us sell our shows.
Okay.
Yeah, so we syndicated the show. It wound up being syndicated throughout the country in the U.S. We also had the show got picked up by Fuji Sankai internationally, and it was also one of the first shows for us to get on airlines. So we were
nice.
working
That's
with
amazing.
with airline, and then we were also working with then Discovery Channel picked it up. So yeah, it was successful. We realized as young guys, and we're a lot of seasoned, business folks. It wasn't our company anymore. So it was like, okay, it's time to leave, time to move on. And I always wanted to study film and work in film, so I started working in commercial work.
Okay.
Me and my business partner left the company first, and then I left the company shortly thereafter. And then I went into commercial work. And
how did that? That's interesting. When you say you left the company, at what point? Just on a, I know there's a lot of like people watch this and they're curious about that.
Yeah.
Of at what point was there that transition of realizing this is no longer your company? Was it an acquisition, or what is that like? What is the structure that was like? You know what? I'm now not the owner of this.
Well, I think we knew going in when they wanted to change the business partners wanted to change the name of the company.
Okay.
Before the first money came in, it was like, well, I should say that the second money came in, we had a bigger investor. The LaSalle Street guys found a bigger investor for us. When the bigger investor came in, we had a all-day meeting. Started at breakfast. By the time the meeting was about to end, Saturday Night Live was on. So we had been meeting all day talking about the structure of the company, how we're going to move out into the marketplace, and the company name change. And my business partner's father was a consultant to the hair care industry. So he's a consultant to the hair care industry.
Hair care, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so
there's
Soft Sheen, John Johnson.
There's a lot of money in that industry.
A lot of money in the industry. Before they sold out to some of the bigger companies, he was consulting a lot of those independent companies, right?
Yeah.
And he told us, he said, oh, they changed the name of the company because you guys are going into a bigger situation right now. It's not going to be just your company anymore. So we already had an idea that, going in, that it was not going to be truly our company.
Yes.
And have the leadership. We had roles, C-suite roles in the company. But I think the realization came when we realized that we didn't have the votes on the board to be able to take the company in the direction we wanted to take it into.
Okay.
And some of the decisions where we made in terms of shows that we were syndicating were shows that were, not shows that we truly our hearts were in. True. Like we had a show, we had I love the gospel show we had. We had a gospel show that we were syndicating. And then we had Powerful Women of Wrestling.
Okay.
That we were syndicating.
Women of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but our main show was Travel and Adventure, because that show went to, places like Oslo, Norway. We went to Barcelona, Spain, Mexico City. They traveled around the world. They travel. I didn't. Me and my business partner, we're like, wow, they're going great trips. But we learned a lot in that whole process. So at the end of the day, I say that all experiences are good experiences.
Yes.
It was a great win for us. My business partner was the youngest syndicator in the country at that time. and I was right behind him. But things change, and you realize that okay, I'm still young enough to make some decisions and move forward
Mm,
in a
mm.
different aspect, and I was willing to step out there and make that change.
Like I gotta commend you because there's a big win there. The fact that you created a product that people wanted, you know, and they wanted to buy it off of you or even own it. You know what I mean? That's a huge milestone. It's like, because that's what creators are always looking for, right? Why we make films so we can be able to sell it or,
Absolutely.
someone takes it, but you actually built a product that people are like, we want this,
Mhm.
Of course, they had to change your name. I don't know what you guys. I'm curious now. What were you guys calling the company first? What is the first name of the company?
The first name of the company?
Yeah.
Um, so it's my middle name is Herbert.
Okay.
My business partner's middle name is Fred.
Okay.
And we came up with this imaginary figure called Frederick Herberson Productions. So these two African American guys with Frederick Herberson Productions, and people would see, they're like, who's Frederick Herberson?
That
Oh, it's
sounds like a
us.
law firm, man.
It
It
did.
sounds like a name
It
of a
did.
law firm.
It did.
It's like an end partners. That's the only thing you're missing.
And even the way the brand was, it was cursive writing. It was very elegant the way we did the
Yeah. Oh,
So
you
people are
guys
like,
what did it end up being?
it ended up being Eclipse Entertainment and Imagico.
They didn't.
So Imagico was the production company, and Eclipse Entertainment
was the
was
syndication.
the syndication company.
They didn't go that far. It wasn't,
Yeah.
I thought they would have been like, bam, like
Yeah.
how agencies have like all these like names,
Oh yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
But yours
Yeah.
sounded like
But
a law firm.
it was 26 people. We had almost 26 people in that company.
Wow.
It grew fast, really fast, because we had to sell in the marketplace.
It's amazing.
After the TV programs convention, it was like, okay, we've got traction. There's stations that want it. Let's bring the team in place, and then things start moving very fast from there.
What is your key takeaway from that? Like, what would you say if there was one thing like that first experience taught you that you still carried forward and said this is,
I think one of the biggest experiences is know your partners, get a chance to know them well. I mean, I think in other countries, relationship wise, people get a chance to know you. They take you out. They spend a lot of time with you. They get a chance to know, your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
I think in this country, we're very fast to get into deals together. Where we move very fast. It's like, oh, business opportunities, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. But that was probably one of the biggest takeaways that I had. I think it was interesting for me too, because I had also just recently left CBS at the time, the CBS owned and operated station. And I do remember it was a time, and I carried this with me when I was the planning editor for the 5 and 10 o'clock news. So you get presented stories from press folks, and you're doing the regular news stories that are investigative, working investigative team. You're helping plan out the news day, but you're also getting stories that you're developing for features. And I remember I used to get a lot of calls all the time. I could pick up the phone and reach anybody. And I remember after I left that job, folks I used to call to see if I can get a connection to or do something. It was like it got quiet. I was like, oh, that job. It was because I was sitting in that seat. I can make things happen. Some of those relationships were just transactional.
Kind of sucks though.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But I did meet some great people who we continue to stay connected.
Yes.
During that time, but it was a number of folks that I realized that that was just a transactional relationship.
It's good to know. Yeah,
and it was good to know. It was good to know as a young person in the industry, because I was still in my mid-20s at the time.
But what you forget is like down the line, you never know. Like those relationships are important, and we learned that. It's in terms of, you might be here right now, but you never know what that person is, and they might make a decision for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this industry. Is like a production assistant being nice to a PA one day, because that PA might be an exec producer one day.
Yeah.
And I was that PA for a long time. I was a PA for over 5 years, and I saw people elevating up, and I was like, gosh, when am I going to get a shot? But I realized that everybody gets a turn. You just have to be ready when that happens.
When that comes. This is a little bit off, like what we were talking about, but I was yesterday actually he was on stage. Superhuman, that AI app thing
I've
for
heard.
emails.
I've heard. Yeah, I just heard it.
Right now,
Starting about it.
right now it's owned by Grammarly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like his story is very interesting.
Uh-huh.
It's a 3-step process. Just summary. It goes back to the people that you meet, right? Finally, he went to a conference, met this guy who was ex Microsoft or one of the companies. He's currently the CEO of Grammarly, but he became the CEO because they acquired his company. But they
Mhm.
met at like a pool on some conference thing, and they showed each other like, "Hey, this is my app. This is my app." Long story short, the guy comes in. They stay in touch. The owner, his company gets acquired by Grammarly. The guy for Superhuman sees that, and he's like, "Well, products are kind of aligned, and you guys are doing the same thing. What does it look like for acquisition?" That same guy is the one who acquired Superhuman. When he became, he's like, "I'm not the CEO yet, but let me look at it when I become the CEO." Looked at it. The company now is owned by Grammarly. Grammarly rebranded now. It's called Superhuman.
Oh my gosh.
But
Incredible.
the reason why I'm saying is like, you never know. Like
Right.
it always looks like it's random, but it's like that is a relationship that was nurtured, and then at the end, it's like he's like, my payout was good. I'm like, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Sure it was. But it's like it's one of those things. Like it's like I look at everything as it's not a transaction.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
It's a relationship.
At the end of the day, do good here. It doesn't look like it's anything, but down the line, you might even have forgotten about it.
Right.
You're like, why is this? Oh, wait, we met, back, but that was the thought process that comes in. So, okay, you leave the company. Where do you end up next?
I start writing scripts, working on some stories, and I actually sold a couple scripts, which was like, wow, I'm actually getting this. I'm doing this. I'm getting this done, right? I started to do the PA thing with film, and then I got a call to go out to BET for a freelance job, and I turned it down a couple times. And my business partner said, why don't you take it? Because I'm not going to do it. He's out. He's living in LA right at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to go out there for this season, do this first season on the show. And here's the relationship part of it. The relationship part of it was because the person who was running the director of the department was someone that worked at CBS Chicago, who had left CBS Chicago. She worked in programming.
Okay.
She was in syndication, and she was at one point one of the younger syndicators in the country.
Amazing.
But she was doing syndicated shows when she left CBS Chicago.
Yes.
During the time I was at CBS and we were doing side projects, my business partner and I reached out to her, and she was like our mentor, and we started doing some projects with her.
Amazing.
Independently. So when she went out there, she said, "Well, let me call these guys,
bring them back in,
bring them back into the fold."
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. I wound up taking the job. It was a kids show called. It was at the time Kim Boone Kids. Bob Johnson, the owner of BET, the founder and CEO of BET, had went to. He had purchased a cartoon, and that cartoon was, I forgot which, it was a West African country he had purchased it from. And then our job was to design a show around it, a live action show around it. So it was involving casting, building a set,
nice,
hiring the kids, doing all that good work, right? And then producing the episodes. We finished that show, and she said, "Hey, I got this other show I want you to work on. Can you work on the show called Story Porch?" And this show was celebrities reading stories to kids. So it's like original stories, and people like Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, Blair Underwood,
yeah,
Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
All those folks came in to read stories to kids, and it was like a great show, award-winning. And she said, "I need an exec producer."
So you mean, you saw the one Netflix did?
No, I didn't.
So they were not the originators. You guys were. They did one. They had a couple celebrities reading
to kids.
Reading to kids.
Yeah.
You guys were the originators.
Yeah. As outside of Reading Rainbow, we were doing that, celebrities reading stories to kids. So yeah,
Amazing.
it was a fun concept. And then, I stayed with her to be executive producer. She said, "Can you move out here and be my executive producer
Mm,
for entertainment department?" And it was exciting because at a station like the owned and operated stations,
yeah.
the big at the time the big three, and cable was starting to really grow, and it was like cable was you could do more. Having unions around, you could not that I have anything opposed to unions, but it was like, oh, you could take the tape out the machine and touch the machine. If I did that in
Because it was a
Chicago or New
union
York,
house.
in a
Oh
union
yeah,
house,
yeah,
it would be trouble.
yeah.
I couldn't even take. You have to let them
Nope.
hand you the tape
I
out the
know.
machine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but it was great because we were working 7 days a week. We had production on both coasts, and it also allowed me to work in the film industry with the station because the station would have half-hour specials that we produced for Disney or
Yeah.
Bona Vista Pictures, which is part of Disney, Columbia, Paramount. That was a time when films were coming out like, from Passenger 57 to Boys in the Hood.
Mm,
Everybody had a film that was a black film. When would they show it? BET. They go
yes.
after the BET audience,
Yes.
create a half-hour special, go on set, shoot behind the scenes, interview the
Yes.
celebrities in advance. And we had an entertainment style show called Screen Scene.
Screen scene.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Screen Scene was a 5-day-a-week show that we would have. It was just like Entertainment Tonight, and we would go and interview celebrities around the
Amazing.
country.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I think for our viewers to your partner was one of the youngest, the lady in CBS, one of the youngest syndicators. What just to educate a little bit, what does syndication look like, or what is syndication?
So syndication is a way to set up your own ad hoc network, and usually advertisers want you to get to like 85% threshold of the country to be able to sell that into a national agency. So syndication has changed from what it used to be. The Judge Judys of the world, the Oprahs of the world. Oprah got her start in syndication.
Yeah.
Um, Syndication at the time was, it was pre-digital. So cable was coming up. And it was a way for people who were not on a Fox, a CBS, a ABC, for companies to really, get out there. Like Warner Brothers syndication division, Telepictures,
Mm,
all those companies, um, King Brothers, all those companies had syndication companies, big companies that would sell programming in the U.S., but they also could sell programs internationally as well. And so there's a big programmer convention, National Association of Television Program Executives every year that happens, and all the syndicators come out. And in the past, it was just like a big car show. It's like you see shows being sold.
yeah.
You go into the booths, you meet with the sales reps, the advertisers would be there, and it was a way for independent, or I should say reps, syndication reps will either work for those companies. One good example is somebody like Byron Allen,
Yes.
who we used to run into on the floor when we were selling our show. And Byron, that's how he built his empire, by selling shows. Like he had that comedy show that comes on at late night,
Yeah.
and he would continue to sell shows out in the marketplace.
Because there's one in LA every year, right? Is it June or July?
It used to be in the winter
I don't
months.
remember. Winter months.
Yeah, like
Okay.
January. Yeah, it used to be in the winter months most times.
Okay.
But I might be these days. It might be later. It might be in the summer.
I'm not sure.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
do
shifting
remember. I
out.
always remember when it's
Yeah,
happening. I need to register early.
yeah. I
Uh,
haven't been at a syndication event in so long.
and then there's one in South Africa.
Yeah.
That one I've always been curious.
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
attend one of those. I think it's always good to kind of see what's out there, film wise. But I also want to touch on the big win of the series that you did. I know there was a lot of wins on that. Was that the travel show that you were doing? That you ended up in the cooking world or the cooking show world? Was
Oh,
that in the
no,
first?
that was later on.
That
So
was later.
that was like in like 2004, 2005
So
actually.
the travel show was just traveling and
Yeah, the traveling show was traveling, and we were on for a season. We did one season with that show. And by the time before the season was out, the investors, everybody was once they got paid out, we were like, okay, it's time to move on. It's time
Let's
to
get
move
out
on.
of there.
Let's get out of there. But I think the show we did with food with Marcus Samerson, that was in Discovery Home, and we actually went out to market and
And at
met with
this
Discovery.
time, just to get a sense of your timeline,
Sure.
because you are now an executive producer at CBS.
Well, I was the executive producer at over at BET.
At BET.
Yeah.
At BET.
I left BET.
Okay.
I left BET because it was time. I just felt it was time. I was starting to work. Digital was starting to happen a lot.
Okay.
It was like a thing that I was starting. I had met Chuck D on one of my shows.
Yeah.
And we started working together. I introduced him to my business partner who was living in LA at the time.
Okay.
And they formed a company.
Okay.
And then I became part of that company as well. It was this management company, but we also were producing and as well and doing a lot of different things, specifically with the Chuck D career. We helped Public Enemy, but we also worked specifically with Chuck, to help him with his brand and his
nice.
And by just by proximity, it turned into helping Public Enemy as well.
Okay.
So at that time, the digital music revolution was happening.
Yes.
There was a lot of things happening on this coast and the West Coast, and I said, okay, it's time to go west. And early in my career, I didn't spend time west, even though at BET, I had a West Coast office I was managing. We had employees out here in Burbank,
yeah,
in SoCal that we were managing, and I would come out for different productions. But when I started working with Chuck, I actually moved to Northern California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was that? Coming from Chicago?
You know what? I was out, actually I was living in Washington, D.C. during the BET years. And so when I moved here, it was like, sunshine, different lifestyle, being close, having some balance where you can, you still have big city, but you're close to ocean and beach and woods, nature. I thought it was a good time for me on my life to have those things around me.
Oh, wow.
Especially as producers who were always grinding, hustling.
That is true.
Moving very hard in this world.
And from there, what kept you on this side of the coast?
I think it's been, just the opportunities that we see that are happening, the innovation that happens every day. We live in a knowledge economy.
Yes.
And as creators, we have to stay, excited about what we do. And the innovation around being able to create and working with young creators keeps me excited, and my colleagues as well. I mean, it's like there's a lot of projects too. How many projects can you do in a lifetime?
That's true.
And I think the time at BET served me well. I learned how to manage projects, multiple projects. Had to do it in my role. I couldn't line produce, that the shows in the department. Every once in a while, I would lean in on some special projects. But when I started working with Chuck, I started realizing that, hey, I always wanted to work with an artist in the music space who wanted to be in the television and film space.
Yeah.
And so it allowed us to work with, film companies with projects that he was providing music for.
Okay.
Or they may have asked him to be on set.
Yeah.
And it also allowed us to work with technology companies,
okay,
software companies,
okay,
because they were at the time trying to figure out how we can get music over broadband. How can we get video over broadband? So this time we're living in is such a joy to me because I remember when we were trying to move video across in early 2000s, trying to move video, and it was just like, better keep that file small.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That was hard at that time, right?
It was very hard at that time.
Either you're shipping a drive or figuring out how much the cost factor, and the internet is not as fast.
It's not as fast. But to answer your question about Marcus and the show we did then, it was interesting because that was a show that we created from just an idea.
And this is after Chuck, or
this was during Chuck. I was still working with Chuck at the time, but it was like I had time to develop an outside project. And Chuck was at the time, the company was all set. I mean, things that we were doing was like in position. So it was like, okay, I got time to develop a project with a producing partner.
Yeah.
And, she was in New York and I was here, and we were looking at chefs to work with. And Marcus, she said, "Oh, you should check out this chef." And we started reading up on his background,
Yeah.
and we took a meeting with him. And next thing you know, he agreed to work with us. And it was his first. He had done some things for PBS, but it was his first series that we
Okay.
produced with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys produce? So, do you have any other? And this goes to your background, right? Because you had already done it before earlier. It's like how things lead up, and you're like, "Wait, I've done this." It's like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Like when you look at that, because a lot of it is talent management. Sounds like it.
It
Right? Because
is.
you did Chuck, and then now you're
It
doing.
is talent management. I mean, you have to. I mean, you know this as well as when it comes down to working with talent. A big part is what they're feeling, what their vision, their objective, what they're trying to
Yeah.
do, what they feel passionate about.
Yeah.
Marcus, I knew at the time, was working for a big food group, Townhouse, and they had a big restaurant. There was a Swedish restaurant in New York on the advertising agencies used to go to on, I want to say Madison. So Aquavit was an incredible, exquisite restaurant, and he was the chef that was. They actually had, he was rising in that food company, in that company,
Yeah.
in that management company. It was basically a company that they were doing some really, really interesting projects. And I could see that one day. I said, this guy's gonna do his own
Gonna be
thing.
big.
He's gonna be
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
And at the time too, I think Marcus was still becoming. He was still developing. His accent was still a little strong,
Yes.
because he's Swedish. Born in Ethiopia,
Yes.
but adopted when he was 4.
Yes.
So as a Swede, he still was carrying an accent, and his accent has gotten better over the years. He's just stayed on in front of the camera and just improved, kept improving, practice. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's amazing now because he always had that personality. Even when I used to go around his restaurants, I could see that he was into certain art and culture.
Yeah.
And, he loved skateboarders. I don't know if he ever was a boarder, but it's like all those things that were art-wise that I would see. I was like,
He
oh,
was
this
in
guy's
it.
really connected to the culture.
Yeah.
And, but he also was an incredible chef. Yeah.
Was there any other chefs that came out of that cohort, or like just out of the series, or is that like one show that you guys did, or was it multiple chefs?
It was just one. It was just one chef we were working with. We're just connected to him.
So you built out the whole.
Yeah.
How long did the series go for?
It was actually, we did, I think I want to say 11 episodes, but it was amazing. Discovery, and that's when they had Discovery Home before they closed Discovery Home side of it up. They ran it 9 cycles, so it was running for years on Discovery. It's like, wow, this show's still on.
It's still going.
It's still going. Yeah, so it ran for a while. It ran for about for 9 cycles. It was almost like I want to say almost 3.5, 4 years.
And then after that, what is next for you? What is your next journey?
Chuck and Walter and I, Walter is my business partner that worked with Chuck and actually became his manager. We wanted to do something. I think that was right around the DVD era. So we wanted to do this. We started this DVD company.
Okay, you're bringing us
under Image Entertainment.
Okay.
So Image Entertainment, QD3 had a company there. He was like the first urban DVD, like really large scale company, and they offered Chuck a deal. And so we under our company, we had a company that we put out like probably about 5 DVDs through that company. And it was an interesting business. And streaming wasn't like really hot at the time. Streaming was slowly being built up.
Yes.
So people were still,
was it blockbuster time?
They were still buying DVDs, written DVDs. And
so you guys were taking someone's film and then you package it into a DVD.
Yeah, or it would be our own DVD that a couple projects that we had ourselves that we put out on DVD. But yeah, we were working with other creators.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we did that for a while. Continue to work with Chuck and continue to work on independent projects as well. So I just can stay, anytime I had the itch for production, I would, continue to produce projects,
And what happened to the scripts that you wrote?
Did
you ever put anything?
It was interesting. It's interesting though. I wrote a script for a record label back in the day. I got a check, so that was good. The other production that we had, the script And it was sold. I think we sold that one in 2004. I had written it in the 90s.
Wow. Wait,
Oh,
90s and then 2004?
yeah, I wrote it. Like maybe like 95.
Was that a feature short
It was a
or was it a
feature.
doc?
It was a feature. It's a feature. It's called Esquire. It's about 3 generations of African American attorneys in Chicago, and the young attorney, he wants to be a sports agent. So
Cool series.
yeah, I wrote this film based upon, some of the folks who I grew up with in Chicago who were, upper middle class. I mean, I didn't grow up with them. I met them in my life in later part of, when I started working at CBS. I was like, wow, this is a whole different side I'm not connected to, but I was fascinated that the legacy of folks who were, who had means. And so, from lawyers to cart, family owned Cadillac dealerships, but they were like,
Yeah.
3 generations of wealth, right? And so it was interesting that, it helped me to inspire me to write that. And I knew some athletes during my time that I had business relationships with. So it was like, okay, I'm going to create this story, and I wrote it. And it's interesting because around that time, a producer wanted to produce the film,
Yeah.
but I had optioned it to another group.
Okay.
So I brought both groups together,
Oh, for real?
and they could
They're
never
like,
get the
this
deal.
one is talking about wanting it, you want it, sit down and talk.
Yeah, yeah.
And what value did you see from that? Like just combining
That's
it?
going to get this project done by bringing these groups together. But what happened is that they still couldn't get a deal. So the original people that had the option, they said, "Hey, we'll buy the script."
Oh, really?
So they bought. I said, "Hey, Writers Guild minimum," and we sold it. We sold that script. So
Did that end up seeing light of day?
it never saw light in day. In fact, I think last year we actually talked about it. It's like, we should do this project. I talked to the owner of the script. I said, we should produce it. You want to do a series, or you want to get it done as a film?
It should be a series.
Yeah.
Value
It is
in
a series
right now.
It's a series. It really is a series.
That is crazy because
And it still holds up too, I will say.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Because those are, they're real, but you don't see them often.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a time selling kind of thing. You only see what studios are picking up or what they see as valuable, but there is an audience there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised BT at that time never picked it up or
Yeah,
saw value in it.
I don't think I ever hit them up. I know I think, it was interesting. We had an interesting relationship there when we could talk to, like, we had Action Pay-Per-View.
Yeah.
And I remember, I produced an independent film at one point, and I actually sold it into BET, to Action Pay-Per-View. And so it's like, okay, before we put it out on the marketplace. So it was just interesting. I took some time. I took some time off, a couple of weeks off, and went and shot a film.
You're like, this is done. Let me go
do that.
Let me go get creative.
Let me go creative. Let me go back to my seat and get back to.
How do you always feel? Because I always feel like whenever, I try as much as I can, at least a year, do a feature or a couple shorts.
Yeah.
But I always feel like it's a way of resetting the mind.
I agree.
You are connected to this one project for this duration of time. Your mind is focused on it. You're seeing it come into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Away from the, some of them are longer, but one off. It's like, we're shooting here, but now you have one product. And, it's a room full of creatives, just geeking out and building, good actors. And I always find joy. I always find like a reset, but again, with the place that we live in, it's not an everyday kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's important to reset. I mean, I think that as creators, we have to, I was talking to someone earlier today, and I was just talking about my passion. They saying, "What are you doing this week?" And I said, "I finished up some projects." But one was a couple more passion projects, that I had to. Once particularly, I had to finish, and the timing just worked out where it's being finished now. So it's great relief. But having singular focus in this world with so many things going on, for a creative, it's important to just really exercise that muscle in terms of how we create. Just from script to screen.
You've had an amazing journey, though. you've been in rooms that, a lot of us are like, man, what do people talk about in those rooms?
Yeah. Well, it's just like I always feel like in those rooms is sometimes even when you're in the room, you're like, oh wow, we're in the room, and you just wonder like I think the thing of it is just like being prepared when you're in the room,
Okay.
right? Because being in the room means that there's a reason why you're in the room,
Mm,
and now you want to, for us, be able to um, execute the project, the dream, whatever you're working on.
yeah.
You know.
And you still teach.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, yes, like my give back. So I do some of that work around. We have this thing called PS 1010
Mm-hmm.
under Planet South, which is mentoring. Um, we want to touch 10 creators every year, 10 digital
Amazing.
creators every year.
Okay.
Young creators, they don't have to be just digital, but being able to stay connected to them, help
Okay.
them with the projects, and be able to advise them on making keep them from the missteps that we've made
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
Growing up in the industry, when I was worked for CBS in Chicago, I can't tell you the mentors that helped me through the process.
Mm,
Who would good days and bad days, they would tell you what you should do, how you should do the things, and really, having excellence in terms of the things that you're doing in this industry because, we get those shots, we get those opportunities, but there are a lot of people who want those opportunities.
that is true.
You know,
That is
even
true.
today, people want to have the opportunities in the industry.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, our goal is always we do these short 6 week, intensive workshops. Um, the one thing which is important for us though is to make sure that we're leading with uh, things that they can learn. Folks can learn today
Yeah.
that can help them today versus some of the media training is still about things that are jobs are going away
Yes.
in the industry. Not to say that we should not be teaching that
Mm-hmm.
because you have to know those protocols. You have to understand things about the industry, when you're creating from on set, pre-production, post-production. It's important to know those things, have those attributes. But I think the other thing is that we also need to be trained from a digital perspective
Mm,
of how we're using technology.
true.
And the jobs that are here today are those jobs at the companies that are, if you're going to do it at a company or you're going to do things from an independent point of view and be an entrepreneur and work for, helping folks in the digital space. Because
Yeah.
storytelling, we're going to need storytelling.
We
Storytelling is everywhere we look at on our phones today,
that is
right?
true.
Everything's a story and somebody's creating it.
People buy stories. People don't buy product.
Absolutely.
People buy the story behind the product.
Yeah.
Um, how is that an open program? Like people can go
Well,
find, or is
right
it
now it's in. I've been doing some work back in Chicago. I'm working on developing it here in the Bay Area.
okay?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
so
not an online. It's a physical.
it's a physical.
It's a
It's
physical
physical.
class.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think right after COVID, we did do one that was all remote, which worked out. It was great because those guys had the participants in that cohort had created a project themselves, and we helped that project get on television.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Byron Allen's network, HBCU Go, actually picked up their project. It was a project called Red Summer Diaries.
Mm,
That was these guys took a road trip from Chicago to the East Coast and the South, and it was that summer where there was a lot of violence against people of color,
yeah.
Black folks in this country. And they went to those cities and they just took this road trip, this journey, and filmed it. And their discovery of the Red Summer Diaries. And then one of the things that happened in Chicago was just like this kid was swimming in the on the side of the lake where Black people were not supposed to go swim in, and there was a race riot that happened there, and it started this violence, and there was some other violence things that happened that summer as well. So, yeah, these guys they did an incredible project, and so they were in that first cohort, and we just see that's something that we have to continue to do. We have to
Amazing.
continue to just like share the knowledge. I can't take it with me.
That's true. You can pass it forward, right?
Absolutely.
What is if you're in Chicago, is it something that someone can go publicly and sign up, or is it like how do you get into this cohort thing?
Yeah. Basically, they can sign off through they can sign up through this organization, a nonprofit called Vision of Restoration.
A
They're
vision of
listed,
restoration.
yeah, VOR. So Vision of Restoration. I work with that organization.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been great, and they've been doing some incredible work. They have some other cohorts they have around construction, nursing, of course, tech and medias. On the media side is us, and it's been really it's been rewarding. I
Okay.
think our last cohort they actually created the social media program, the social media campaign, I should say, for one of the projects we have coming up, and they did an
Amazing.
incredible job. Yeah.
We should get. I guess we'll campaign to get you to open one on this side of town
We're
in the
we're
Bay Area.
we're talking about it, and we're actually going to be doing some things in the near future where people can hear more about our goals, our plans here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll stay in touch. We'll keep the audience looped in on what's happening on that front. Um, Looking at it, like, what is, as you're developing all these assets as you go, um, what makes you keep creating, or what keeps you curious to keep developing all this, just building and developing, especially in this industry?
I think the one thing is just like you think about the history that's here that we stand on.
Yeah.
Um, it's amazing. You can learn a new story every day about somebody remarkable in history, past, present, future. Future is like we don't know that yet, but you think about the past and even current folks, it's some incredible history in this country, and in the world, and I think especially around the diaspora.
Mm,
Um, that's something that drives me to continue to fuel me,
yeah.
and I just want to continue to tell stories. That's something that keeps I get passionate about. It gets me up every morning.
Um, what uh, what is the current? I'll go to current, and then I think there's one big picture that I'm looking at. In terms of, like, what is your big picture of saying, uh, if I do this, or I'm sure you're already working the roadmaps through that, but like the big picture project that you have somewhere in there in your mind of saying, this is my big goal. This is
Yeah.
what I want to build.
It's you know, I'll just say this. When I first started at the in Chicago at the station, I was worked in the news library, and the news library was, the news would come on. I would go up to the library, which had all these tapes
Mm,
in them in the library at CBS, the archives, and then that library I would sit in there and watch the news and type the news verbatim so we can have a script of the news. You don't have to do that now.
nope.
With AI and everything. We don't have
Nope.
to do that right
Put a
now.
record in front.
We can record it. We just record it up
Oh,
for it.
translate all
It's
that into a
translated.
script.
But the thing that was interesting to me was that, our archives. I've always been fascinated with archives. And even when I started to get involved with uh, independent productions and other productions, rights usage and
Yes.
being able to source materials.
Yes.
That was a big part of my job was like, okay, we got to source materials for a documentary or we've got to source material for a story. News is a more of a fair use kind of thing.
Mm.
So there's a little bit more liberties when you're shooting news. Still laws in terms of how you use people's image and those sorts of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But I think the big picture is something around that. Like, how can we work with a repository, of culture,
That's true.
So those are things that attract me, especially around now, since there's so much content being created. Um, what's the business model around it? I can't say that yet, but I think that it's important culturally to do. I know it's something that keeps me up at night trying to figure out like how do we stay connected to that part of bringing content together in a way that is here. People can find it. You know,
And
um,
then more like a A library, same thing,
Same
like
thing.
an archival. Because right now, how does that work? It's government, right? Like if it's presidential or if it's news related, it exists in what is it
The
called
National
here?
Archives.
National
So you
Archives.
got National Archives, and then you have things like, of course, like the museums around the world. Of course, like I know we have um, the African American Museum in Washington D.C.
Yes.
Right? You have schools that are keeping archives, right? And you got companies that are doing the same thing. Getty Images, for instance.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny every time I work on a project, and you find some of these smaller stock footage companies you can buy
Yeah.
footage from, and then they get sucked up by a bigger company.
Yep.
It's a reason why,
There's a
right?
reason why.
Yeah, it's a reason why.
Consolidation.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is just like there's a value there. It's important there, and I think we have to make sure that um, our content's living someplace at the end of the day. Sometimes people need to just be able to find content in one place or a few places, not having
Yeah.
to go search everywhere for content.
And with that, like I think you don't even have to own it. You just have to find where everything is and create more
Uh,
like a map, roadmap that if you click, you find it. It
yeah,
exists in this place and
yeah,
all that, like a marketplace
a
in a way.
marketplace. But short, I mean, I'll say short of that, it's like I think that my body of work, I just want to be able to have my body of work live in a way that people can see that it means something. Most of the content that we've done have been, against. Sometimes it's been historical.
Yes.
Other time it's political.
Yes.
Other times it's just a human. It's just very real and
Yes.
human. And I, from the general market content to specific content that I've been working on in the past, 35 years. It's been content that I'm proud to say that we've worked on and
Yeah.
been part of.
Yeah.
The content especially a lot of the content I've worked on with Chuck, should stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Because it truly is, historical from a hip hop point of view. And I think the other things that we're working on right now is just content that, it's important. I just feel like storytelling content is where we need to be. And we just need to tell these stories that are, some of the stories are untold. Some of the stories people will discover at a later period of time.
True.
Not everything is going to be discovered today.
Oh.
Sometimes people are searching for something and say, wow, I didn't know this story existed. And, we like to inspire, and we also like to make sure that people know that, with some of the storytelling, some of the things that you discover in history, you realize that these things have happened, already.
Yes. That's
And
true.
we don't have to recreate the wheel,
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if someone already went through it, why, you learn from that, right? That's why the past is there. If it's well documented, you learn from it.
Absolutely.
And you don't make the same mistakes. You'd rather make new mistakes and you learn and you document it. And then the next person doesn't have to do the same thing. It's a trial and error and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so my question to you, I like where your mindset is at. But we live in an interesting time right now, right? Where we can't tell reality from, how do you see us moving on a lot of this history and still preserving it and not polluting it with all this, hallucinations on AI and all this? Like, because right now you can go write your own Wikipedia and
Sure.
create a whole idea of what this is.
Yeah.
And someone will read, not verify, and take that and run with it. And then you have 5-6 people by the time you're trying to scale it back, it's already gone out. How do we preserve this? Or
Yeah.
like, how do you?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing is going to happen is that you said it at the onset of the conversation is that we're going to have to be with the developers, from a creative point of view and work with them. I know there's a company we're working with that has a deep fake technology that they actually were part of the NVIDIA Inception program, right? But they can discover deep fakes, not just on with music, but they can discover deep fakes, with visuals.
With visuals, yeah.
Yeah. And so, it might just be endorsement kind of like stamp bug on the screen that says, "Say," I know
Yes.
companies have been trying to do that. Some that's just like been trying to verify that, but then I think the challenge is that sometimes it comes down to like, well, who's the person that's verifying,
True.
right?
That's what we're
So
gonna run into again,
that's
right?
when you run into again. So I think that
Like authenticity of the contents
hundred
and
percent,
yeah.
100%. I mean, from a person who started in news and which is considered fake news, um, you know, I think that it's one of those things today is very challenging
It
to
is.
find how to how to answer that question today. It's like there really is no answer today. It's really it's a lot of noise, a lot of pollution out there, and then you have to really search for the truth.
Because even news is now they're chasing clicks. So they're not even it's not about the quality of the information. It's like the retention
Yeah,
of the audience, right?
exactly.
So it's flipped. Who are you serving? Are you're serving a person who you summarize it and just go
Mhm.
into shock therapy for them. Just to
Mhm.
they're like they got something, I don't know,
Yeah,
but they stayed there for enough
yeah,
time for
yeah,
sponsors
yeah.
to make their money.
It's like I think the thing of it is, it's like reading today is like how much does everyone really read today?
How
Uh,
much do you read?
I
Like physical,
physically
like
read.
turning a page.
I read every day.
Really?
Yeah, I read something every day.
And is this like articles or is it a physical book? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Physical book. Is this a magazine or an actual like book, fiction or nonfiction?
What I'll do is I'll read articles every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read a book, maybe every week or other
Mm,
week. I'll read a book, but I'll read a lot of articles.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I definitely want to, source from trusted individuals
Sources. Yeah.
and sources. So yeah, even if I see something on news, I will go back and read something just to. That's to my news background self. I'm still kind of a news
And
junkie.
you junkie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still
So
a,
you
I'm
still.
still a news junkie. Unfortunately, yeah.
I'm a night show watcher on YouTube, meaning
There we
like
go.
during the days when if I have a moment, I'll
Right.
probably watch like,
Yeah.
John Oliver only happens like once a week, but
Hmm.
like I like he's fully fledged. But you have what Jon Stewart, all these other guys. Like
Oh yeah.
that's where I probably get my news if I'm not reading an article, you know.
Yeah.
Because
But
yeah,
you know what? Today is like it's everybody's getting. We're getting so much information. It's like if I go on YouTube, I can just see a little bit of everybody's clip.
yeah, exactly, and that's
You
what I
know.
usually do. Like I think
Right.
the idea of using that with humor
Yeah.
accept a lot.
Yeah.
These nightly shows, they're pretty good, but watching them online or just being able to scrub through them. Yeah, because you said about reading, because that's the hardest thing, right? Like there's, you wanna the amount of time or the time to go through. I do a lot of audiobooks. I love reading, but ends up being other than articles, but reading a full book page by page and whatever is like I've
Yeah.
tried it even with like getting a Kindle.
Right.
I'm like, what time, man? I don't have a commute. Like production, there's no commute. It's like you're on the move 24/7. So an audiobook makes sense. But I still do enjoy it. I still think it's an art that needs to stay.
Yeah.
Or we're not gonna know how to write anymore.
I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I think that it's I think I've learned to enjoy when I can. If I have a small trip, I could take a train trip. If it's an hour,
It's a good way to look.
hour and a half,
Yeah.
and I know
Yeah.
I can read. I can decompress a little bit. But I'm one of those guys that calm on the on the outside, but I'm raging all the time. I'm always monkey
Thinking
mind,
of new
creative. I'm always
ideas.
thinking of new
Yeah.
ideas.
Oh yeah, no, you've created a lot.
That monkey mind.
How do you stay, what how do you stay creative? Like is there like a system, let's say you're working on something, like how do
Hmm.
you maintain your creativity?
A
Is
big part of my creativity is being around art
okay.
and music. I like being around I'm around other artists all
Hmm.
the time
Okay.
because they artists, as you know, bring a certain energy,
Yes.
right? And they're most of them are not walking between the lines,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you know, where I might be walking on the edge of the line, they're all way over the line, and it's something that I admire about that,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know, and it's something that always their energy is also the art energy. You know, art always it has always been able to be an inspiration to me when I look at
Yes.
art and I can be around art. And also, you know, if I'm in a city, I'll go into a museum, and, you know, especially if I'm in another city. In that city, I go in these museums all the time just to get my art, you know,
Mm.
feed on some art. But music as well. I think music is a big proponent, and that's why I think it's always helped me to help put me in a creative space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything, a book or even art that comes top of mind that you've recently experienced that you can share with us
Um,
to be on the lookout for?
can't say I have anything on the upside on the upswing right now.
Okay.
Um, but I tell you, I mean, you know, one of our colleagues, you know, Kamisi Norwood. I mean, I've spent a lot more time at the museum since he's been there working
Okay,
there.
I need to take advantage of that. I
Yeah,
know I've been
and
there when we were working
yeah,
together.
I've just actually just renewed my membership because I just like it's times where I want to just experience it and just be around art. I mean, I did go to the there was anime um uh you know exhibit that was I want to say 2 months ago, and I was amazed because it had a lot of the you know early anime creators,
Oh, really?
and it was pretty awesome. I actually was very surprised,
Nice.
and that was very inspirational. So much so that my cousin, he's an artist and MFA, and he spent time in Korea with his you know with the art to learn art, that style of art, and I sent him some things from there, and he was just like he was pretty excited. I said, I hope it comes to Chicago.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. I think that was something that really inspired me. But I think sometimes for me, I wind up going into small galleries as well.
yeah.
You know, just to
Yeah,
be
just kind of
around,
take a peek and see what they're working on.
just to see what they're working on, see what's happening, seeing who's
Yeah,
dropping
yeah.
art out here in the market. Yeah,
Have you spent any time in the continent?
I have not. I have not, and I can't. I'm looking forward to that real soon because it's um, it's been calling. It's been a lot of things calling me. I mean, for instance, there's a project that we're working on right now that you know the uh, person is understanding their ancestry, and they will be taking a trip back. But that's a trip. You know, we still have to finish up the U.S. version of her ancestry story,
Oh, you
but
start there at the side.
and then
Yeah.
have to go there because she's already found some of her relatives um, who live in Los Angeles, who she met last year, and she's gone her back about. I think she might be about 4 or 5 generations back right now.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think she's trying to get up to 8 generations.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
She's using ancestry.com or one
she's
which
using Ancestry and there's 3 of them. There's
there's a new one
African,
now.
there's the African, is it Africa.com? There's 3 of them.
Is africa.com?
It's a black ancestry.
Okay.
It's a black I don't remember the exact name, but it's a black ancestry.com. And then there's 23andMe kind of went away,
Yes, it
right?
did. Yeah.
But Ancestry, she
It's,
uses the all 3.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's good to know.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that to get
What's
to the continent.
what's your thought on, you being part of this journey of like, definitely, building IP, creating content, growing in this space and storytelling. Um, what opportunities do you see that the continent has? Like, do you see opportunity there, and do you see opportunity in those stories? Um, and as a executive producer, how would you approach that? Like, what opportunities do you see there that you're like, okay, this is untapped
Oh,
market?
they're killing it with the AI. Some of the AI that's being produced on the continent,
Mm,
the content, killing it, especially with you know, Afrofuturism, uh, incredible. I mean, sometimes I'm just watching like, this is really good, and sharing that with some of my, younger colleagues who are, animators and in the space.
Mm.
But I think there's a lot of great content coming out. In fact, even one of the organizations here in that we're connected to, well, my actually, they're a company that my business partner connected to, but it's an organization called Makers of Oakland.
Yeah.
They hired a group out of I want to say South Africa to do some create some a video for them, and it
Mm.
was really good, really
It's
good.
amazing.
Yeah, I was like, it was nice to see that transatlantic connection happen from here,
Yeah.
from there to there, and a lot of those guys in the organization have spent time on the continent, so it was good to see just how they working with, you know, that
That
organization,
organization on the other side.
which is making music and working with young people around tech and education for, to see that come full circle.
If you were to go to the continent, where would you go?
Um, I think I like to. I mean, there's a number of spots I'd like to go to. I like to go see Ghana. I like to go to Ghana, Kenya, South Africa. I like to go to Ethiopia. I mean, it's like there's a number of places I want to spend time at.
Yeah.
You know, there's places that um, that just really resonate. From I can just I'm just from a vibe standpoint. I'm like, okay, it's time to visit.
It's time to visit. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was it last week? Yeah, last week I was at Africa Climate Change here in San Francisco
Hmm.
because there's that partnership
Hmm.
actually with the SF San Francisco Airport, and just the initiatives. So this was more of an African, a lot of African countries were there, and the conversations are interesting because a lot of what my key takeaway from the whole thing, and also was what came up during the conversations of the US in a way has stalled in
Yeah.
terms of at least California. That's why the partnership exists with California.
Right.
California is
Yeah.
US, but California is
Yeah.
California, right?
Yeah.
Like they move at their own beat, which is good, and which is like preserving history, working on climate change and all that.
Hmm.
But one thing that came out was you have a point where the US has frozen a lot of what they're actually doing, developing most of this technology, right? Then you have this whole other continent right now that is young, prime, still taking on. Like there's solar, there's all these technology advancements that they're curious about, they're willing to experiment, they're building on. When you start looking at it from a future perspective, who's going to be on top? By the time you open up this floodgate and these America or most of these other countries try to catch up, they've already developed, they've already advanced in it. But you look at it as like, oh yeah, no, we're still ahead, but these guys are still building. They've not stopped. They're still running. They're still walking. They're still making mistakes, but developing to a better place. So, long story short, this goes to like we're gonna see 5 or so years that there's gonna be a gap. Like they're gonna be way sprinting. So, I'm I'm proud and grateful for that. Like just hearing that and seeing that, like you don't see it, you still see it as okay, which is good when they say, Africa is still behind. We like that. It keeps a lot of people out of it. So we can, you know, still be able to enjoy and still be able to have enjoy nature, enjoy, what green looks
Hmm.
like.
Hmm.
We've not polluted it as much. But that felt like I think a future way of looking at things of it is coming. It is not immediate, but the technology is headed in the right direction for the continent.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting back when when phones were first becoming smart.
Yes.
I remember because we was working a lot with smartphones and we were working with different companies, the telecoms. We were with the telecoms there, we were with telecoms here. And I remember the continent, they were so much advanced, as you know, with being with people buying on their phones.
Yes.
That was people don't even have any idea how advanced it was there. And so when I see things today, it's like, I want to see the continent be able to work with their own earth minerals,
Yes.
rare earth minerals, instead of some of the other geopolitical forces, which, hey, it happens. It's what it is. But I think I say all this to say is that, acceleration is going to happen
It
on the
is.
continent. Is happening. And I think it's making a lot of folks in other countries wake up and say, wow, it's taking place.
It's
And
taking
there's still a
place.
lot of people asleep at the wheel who have no idea.
That's true, but I think also knowledge is important, right? Like,
Yeah.
who was that? Ice Speed
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
with his tour,
Yeah.
I think that was good in a way.
Yeah.
I don't watch his content as much, but there was a lot of exposure and you could see the innocence of the questions.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like going to Botswana and realizing like the locals don't have access to these diamonds that you see. It is an export product.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's made, it
Right.
goes.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's Botswana. All this is made here. All these minerals are made here. That means everyone has access to them. Nope. You can see the innocence of the question and you're like, wait, you can't? No? Yeah, no, because the deals were made back then.
That's right.
But at least with all that is happening and people asking more questions and the curiosity, I think it's going to open up a lot of those things. You're like, why have you been selling to these people?
Yeah.
Or even realizing the power of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like the thing of it is like, think about his followers who are all being educated in real time.
In real time. Yeah. You could see a lot of young kids and that's the future. Those are the future,
That's the future.
people. His audience are not, I'm sure majority of them are not you and I.
No.
But,
Yeah.
but those are the people who will be legislatures or will be the people making these decisions in the future.
Mhm.
So now they look at it, they're like, no, we don't want that.
Right.
That's not what we want. And they have the power to change it.
Absolutely.
But if they didn't see that experience, so back to where you started, which was the travel shows and, how to tell these stories, I think it creates exposure. It opens someone's eyes to see what's on the other side. And if they're curious enough, they can actually take off and travel and go see it.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
there's beauty to that.
It is. I mean, our show the travel show had, 2 black hosts, 1 white host. It was diverse. We just said, hey, we've got a, female host and a male host who were African American. One actually was the daughter of Art Neville, the Neville brothers.
Mm.
And she's done a lot of television over the years. And the other one was a former NBC correspondent, James McCawa.
Who are the Neville brothers?
Neville brothers, they're a group out of New Orleans.
Okay.
And they've been around for a long time. The biggest group and the biggest member of the family probably is Aaron Neville. And yeah, if you heard his songs, you're like, oh, okay.
They're musicians.
They're musicians.
Okay.
They're musicians.
I will find them.
They're on their probably third generation. They're older, and so the generation now is probably, she was the second generation. So then there's another generation, and her cousin Ivan Neville was a big rock guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the current generation, I haven't heard any of the current generation in the industry. But
they're
like the Jacksons, continue generations in the industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about the Jacksons. I can't wait to watch the Michael Jackson movie.
Yeah, I know. It's done the numbers. It's doing great numbers.
I gotta see
Great
it.
to hear.
I gotta see it. What advice do you have for anyone coming into this industry?
I will say this. My advice is just really to learn about this industry from a historical standpoint.
Yeah.
And if you find someone in this industry that you are, enjoy their work,
Yeah.
learn as much as you can about their process and how they move their process.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different ways. I think in this industry, there's still a number of different areas in the industry you can work in.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm always amazed at how in this industry, folks don't understand like some of if you're a director and you don't understand a director who was in the 40s, 30s and 40s, who was who made, who might have made significant changes, or
Yes.
the 50s or the
Yes.
60s.
Yes.
You should know your history. This is like, for instance, um, like people did not know that that current Spike Lee movie was based on a film, a Japanese film
Really?
from 1960s,
Yeah, that
early
was a
60s,
remake.
right?
Yeah.
So, and then you go back and look at that film because people
On
wonder like
adaptation.
the pacing and why it was done that way. And you look at that film, he's like, oh, I get it, right?
Yeah.
Spike Lee, for instance, is a real student of film. He really understands film cinema. But if it's film, if it's television, any media, whatever media,
Yeah.
you should understand. I think you should understand, the
Where
history.
the history.
You understand the history because I think it helps you.
It does.
You're like, okay, I'm not creating that shot I think I'm creating. I think I did.
It takes a lot of discipline, though.
It really does.
I gotta say, because that movie was very jarring for me. So
but
it's respectful at the same time
sure.
to realize you're doing something that in a typical watch, your audience will have a lot of criticism to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're staying true to what you are creating as
Sure.
an artist.
Yeah.
And knowing that I will take the flag when it comes, or I'll take the,
Well, you know what? It's like, somebody mentioned this to me a few years ago, and I remember it very well. It's like you're actually producing a film 3 times, or any media content 3 times. You're producing it when you write it
Mhm.
and develop it. You're producing it when you shoot it, and then you're producing it again when you edit it.
Mm.
And so to stay consistent on on what you're trying to do, execute, and my recommendation is just one example, but some people say, I don't need to have that history from a reference point. Some people might say, hey, listen, I'm just going to just learn the best. If I'm a camera person, a camera op, I'm just going to be the best camera op. I'm going to learn everything I need to know about that device and where it's going and what's the latest camera. And like, as you know, some people fall in love with a certain camera.
Yes.
And that's their camera.
Yes.
Right? Some folks will say, hey, listen, whatever the device is. But I think if you're trying to be great at every camera, it can be challenging.
It can.
Right? Because things are coming out every day on that camera. And new things are happening all the time. So I think I'm always encouraged when I work with teams because, we're always trying to find the best person on that different,
on that specific field
right?
that you're trying to make.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I just think it's one of those things where in our industry, things are changing so rapidly. And I just tell folks, just go in deep. Just, as we say, go down the rabbit hole.
Go down the rabbit hole. I think just be curious. Stay curious. You never know. Keep asking the right questions.
Keep asking the right questions. Yeah.
How did you navigate? Because a lot of the rooms that you are in, there's not a lot of us in them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, what is the mindset approach for you to be in these rooms and know that you belong in that room, or like mentally prepared to be in these spaces without having the doubt of, man, I'm not sure, man, if I should be here or not?
I think you have to have strong conviction. You got to believe in who you are. If you have anything that's a weakness that can be exploited, it's going to be very challenging to be in that room and feel confident in that room. I mean, people always have anxiety about meetings and being in those type of settings.
Yeah.
Some of that's natural, I think. But I think that you really just have to be knowing who you are as a creator and a creative person who has a strong conviction on what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got to just go with it and just like know that, hey, you got to have the confidence in who you are. I mean, because I think the one thing I've learned in this industry is that, we sacrifice a lot to do this thing.
Yeah.
And, personal lives, families, you try not to do those things, but you do that winds up happening.
Yeah, something has to
because
give.
something has to give. Because
Yeah.
the thing of it is, it requires a lot of time to execute on. And I'm not saying that you should be devoid of those things, because
Mm.
we need those things to be well-rounded individuals.
Mm.
Um, but it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important to have the strength of character when you go in those rooms. Because if you don't have the strength of character, then it's going to be easy to sway you.
True.
Well, we want to get it done, but you got to do it just like this.
Yeah.
Now, some teams starting out, people do have to take those deals.
True.
You want to direct it? You wrote and direct it? We're not directing it. You're going to write it. We're going to give it, you'll have
You're
us,
just gonna be a writer. We'll get a director for
and you
it.
can say yes
Yeah,
or no.
that's true.
Yeah, that's the
true.
reality of this
What's
business.
important for you?
What's important for you? But I think at a certain point, and even in the beginning, if you choose not to go that way and say, I'm going to do it myself, do it yourself.
True.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's you make those choices accordingly to the time and where
time.
you're at in life.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, it can be early days or even now, like what just an example if you can share.
Yeah.
Like you were in a space that you're like, man, I'm not sure I should be in this space. And how did you overcome that?
I think basically, it's just been a process. Early on, is a process of looking who else was in the space and measuring up.
Okay.
And you take an internal look at yourself and say, okay, did I do this right? Did I do these things? Am I hitting all marks? And so,
Yes.
right. And I think some of those things, some of those checks and balances comes from trusted sources, people who are really close to you, who know you.
Yes.
And who are in the industry, who've been through it, who you can confidently count on to give you a real check.
Your check of it.
Yeah. I mean, outside of that, not everybody's born day one ready.
No. Sure.
And you have to be tested in this industry to get to a point when you're feeling confident. Like when I first worked in the newsroom, lights, cameras, all these people, all this movement, low man on the totem pole.
Like
to be able to go out and say, okay, we want you to cover the Pope, and you're going to go to 7 cities around the country, and you're going to be, on the Pope. On the Pope has his plane, and then you're going to be with the journalist plane. They have 2 planes following the Pope, and you're going to do this as a special projects producer. And you're like, okay, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, it's not hard.
That's true.
It's
never hard.
It's never hard.
It's the And you brought up something very interesting: the value of mentors.
Yeah.
How many mentors have you had over? And what is your process of picking the right mentor for you?
Some of it is a mentor has to pick you, I feel.
Okay.
And you'll know when that person really has a genuine interest in who you are as a person.
Okay.
And your benefit, your well-being.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's one mentor I have who is, he was one of the number 2 Black cameraman for CBS, White House, and Network News. His brother was with the White House, and he was network cameraman when the second one. But he always was encouraging when I was in the newsroom. I still talk to him today. I still talk to him a couple times a week. Easy. He's in his 80s, and he still is active, and he still wants to shoot every day. He still buys cameras. He still buys.
He can't help it.
He can't help it. He's I saw this little mic. I saw this little pin mic. I bought it, and it works. And it's only X dollars. And he's like, and he was just telling me that last week. It's still working. He can't believe he bought this little pin mic and it's working.
When you had to buy a whole console system to control the sound.
Yeah, and he's like, he's working on these B movies right now, and these B horror movies right now in Chicago.
80?
At 80, and he's still strong as an ox. He's just an incredible guy, really incredible guy. He's got stories for days. But someone I can talk to, and these days is interesting. Because he's still very engaged. He's still writing.
Mm-hmm.
He's still being his total creative himself, and he's no different than he was 30 years ago to me.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I think that there's been mentors who like that who are still still connected to lifelong mentors who you're connected to, and
Yeah.
then for myself, it's like then I meet people who are like one of my proteges. I shouldn't even call him a protege because he was in the youth program here
Okay.
in Oakland. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Self-taught shooter, self-taught editor, and his passport stamps are way more than mine. Like 5 years ago, I said, "How many extra pages do you have in your passport?"
He's
And
working.
he's working, and it's
Yeah.
great to see a guy like that who is just you know flourishing
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
industry. You know,
That's true.
so I think that it's interesting about having mentors,
Mm.
and I do think that it's good to have. I think it's always good to have because,
Important.
again, it helps you during those times when you're trying to figure out,
What's next?
what's
And
next.
we assume we always say like you're not the fast one through this. Someone else has gone through those challenges that you're going through, and someone came up with an answer. Or, you know, um, I think just the idea of the village.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like you're
Yeah.
not alone.
Hmm.
I always feel like the U.S. is a desert. You know, uh,
Yeah.
but I
You're
commend
out there.
like
You're out there. You're
yeah.
out there. Can be out there lonely sometimes.
Here it feels like it, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
kind of point of view. But again, it's America.
Sure.
It's how this system has been built and all that. But I always love like the community. You and I always stay in touch. We always communicate.
Yeah.
But I think that is usually important. But it also takes individuals to be aware that or you're just isolated in this whole place because easily you can just be making that rat race of just chasing, chasing, chasing. You look up, you're like 20 years later. And you're asking what did we build again? I don't remember.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I always, just I think that's super important to kind of think about. Um, what are you currently working on right now that you can share that people should be on the lookout for?
Yeah. So just completed. Well, we're in post right now. We're going to be pretty close with finishing called Voices on Urban Violence,
Mm-hmm.
which is how can artists, and these are recording artists, how can they take a look at violence in their community and have conversation about it and challenge it,
Yes.
from their perspective.
Yes.
So it feels a little academic when I talk about it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's artists, current artists. I just started this in Chicago, one city, to see what it would be like, and we're completing post on that right now. Yeah, so that features 8-time Grammy winner Malik Youssef.
Mm-hmm.
He is our tour guide going into Chicago. He worked with Kanye, Big Mensa, Beyonce, Jay-Z. A number of those artists he writes for. But he's a spoken word artist that has done just incredible work. Very politically active. He's based in SoCal, but he's a Chicagoan. He's back and forth between Chicago and LA. And then the other project we are doing right now is with Chef Nelson,
Mm.
which is called Native Son. So Native Son is a short film. It looks at Chef's journey, his food journey, uh, in recent times in Oakland and in San Francisco. So he opened 2 restaurants in Oakland. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant in San Francisco with one of the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green. That's the Ethiopian Caribbean fusion restaurant.
Got it.
So yeah, we're telling his story. He's an interesting guy who was dealing with some issues in the community when his restaurant was broken into
Yes.
multiple times,
Yes.
and the community supported him to keep his stores open.
Yes.
And so it's a wonderful story. He gives back quite a bit, feeding people. He's got a program he works with, No Kid Hungry.
Okay.
And he's an ambassador for No Kid Hungry. So, it's great to see a guy like that win,
Yeah.
in the city. And restaurant business is such a tough business.
It is. It is.
Yeah. But it's nice to see a good guy like that.
I did. When are these coming out? Do you know, or are you
Yeah,
still
we're gonna
working?
start screening that one out next month.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we'll start showing that one next month, and then we'll start showing some screenings of Voices on Urban in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
To follow this, how can people find out where to go check out the fast one for Chef Nelson?
Yeah, we'll have
What was
some
that?
things on Planet South.
Planet South,
South.net.
planetsouth.net.
Yep, and also our IG, the Planet South.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll put those in the video
Yeah.
just so people can be able to go find them.
Thank you.
And then the other one, Auburn.
Which
the
one?
other film?
The other film, which I was talking about, was the Voice on Urban Violence
Voice of Urban
and
Violence.
Native Son.
And that's going to be out on...
That's going to be in
same
June.
thing? In June?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Voice on Urban Violence is out in June. So, yeah, I'm excited about that one because, again, that was one that we've been... It got kind of... we sat on it for a while. I was waiting to finish it up, and it just timing-wise, like, hey, this is a good time to finish. I got a break in schedule, and I said, okay, we can finish this up now.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to have to drive it to completion.
Yeah, to the finish line.
Right.
What?
My director, he moved to Japan.
Nice.
Yeah, so
That's a
he
smart
moved to
person.
Japan a couple years ago, and he's making films in Japan. But he's such an incredible eye, and just enjoy working with him so much. Benjamin Michelle.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is from just understanding your journey. I know we're at the tail end, but it'd be good to hear your point of view or just your perspective of what does distribution look like in the future?
That's a good question, because distribution today is we've gotten very what I call micro focus, very narrow verticals.
Yes.
Everybody's got a channel.
True.
OTTs are everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's coming much harder to get deals done today.
Okay.
Much harder.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say it's hard. That can never happen. But when you hear somebody like, for instance, Issa Rae talking about the challenges she's having, she had a successful show.
Yeah.
And she's
pulled from HBO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's been talking about some of the challenges she's having. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's very vertical. I think you're promoting your own channels. You're promoting your own networks.
Yes.
I think it depends on what you're doing. If you've got, the kind of budget behind you that can drive something on a bigger level, it becomes a lot easier. I think a lot of the networks want to have, quote unquote, sanctioned producers who they know can deliver a show.
Yes.
And sometimes they will team an outside project up with a sanctioned producer. They've been doing that for years, though.
So, and that was going to be my next question.
Sure.
But when you look at sanctioned producers, in this case, let's say the deals that Idris has with Apple for his show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same concept of a sanctioned producer, or
the
deal with Happy Gilmore with Netflix?
Well, it's a little different. Now you got a brand. Idris is a brand, right? Yeah. So I mean, the agents can drive that deal, right? And so it's a little different because when you have, a Charlize Theron, who new project on Netflix is out. They're coming with some heat behind them because they are brand and producers.
Okay.
An actor, director, producer.
Yes.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon.
They're making moves in there.
They're making moves. Even hearing new projects that are happening with some of the producers we know who are like, when you're a producer, when you're working on the outside of the system and you're not fully integrated in the system, like, sometimes you need to have agents drive it on that level when you're working on those levels.
Isn't that going to still create the problem that we've been fighting where it's a closed circle?
100%.
That is building it?
100%.
Compared to like the independence of opening up for more creators to get into this space?
100%. I mean, I think it comes down to when you want to play
Mm.
in this. Like, for me, like these projects I'm working on now, those projects I'm not taking those projects. Chef Nelson, we have another project that's probably is a better fit for a network,
Mm.
or a streamer. This project is more of an independent release. Voices is more of an independent release.
And by independent release, is that what avenues are you using to
It could
release
be
this?
PBS, it could,
Okay.
it could be, a streamer, but not it's not
A
like
big network
it's not
like
like a
HBO, Netflix,
no,
or
not at all. Yeah. So some projects fit that naturally, but think I've learned over the years, like I know where before I produce a project, I already know when I think it's gonna land.
amazing.
Yeah, I
That's
mean
that's called talent right
it's
there.
important to figure out like when you think it's gonna land before for me, before I take that first step.
And is that because of how much money you're putting in it, or is that because you can go ask for money from them, or what? What
It's usually it's like, I feel like it's a little challenging to get dollars just off concepts these days.
it is?
I feel like it's one of those things where you have to, one of the greatest common denominators for me at this stage is time. How many projects can I get done?
True.
So
Something might catch, something might fall, something might.
yeah,
It's
but I'm willing to, as in an EP role, you can spread out your wings a little bit, and you can take a bet on, 5 projects. I don't have to line produce
mm,
every project.
it's true.
So I feel like I can spread out more and help, work with another producer or another writer or director with projects that they might be working on. So I'm always having those discussions with other producers and other creators as well.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
I always want to make sure I'm real critical about being able to dedicate the time that they need, though.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Are there any parting last words to our audience?
Oh gosh, I mean, I just say that I just wanted to say that it's really been enjoyable just sitting here talking. Can't believe how much I've got a
No, I'm
chance to talk
serious.
with you today, man. I hope I hope
This
you
is
enjoyed it.
amazing because these are questions that a lot of people have, and you're seasoned. You've been through all these spaces,
Yeah,
and you've been in most of these rooms. Um, I think learning by listening and experience from others who've done it, I think is the best way to learn, especially for our industry. Right? There's there's no textbook that will take you to where you need to go with it.
yeah.
With our industry, it's like it's changing every
It
single
is.
day.
It is. And I will say there's some remarkable people in this industry who are doing these all the time, right?
Yes, yes,
And it's important for folks to hear about these folks because they know a lot. They've seen a lot, and
true.
they're still in the industry. I think that was important for us is like we always say, keeping the curiosity.
Keeping the
We are in a
curiosity.
knowledge economy,
Yes.
and our industry is changing very fast. And so folks that are not keeping up, you know, it's easy to get left by the wayside. So, it's critical to stay connected to what's going on.
All right. And if anyone is curious, how can they find you?
Yeah. They can find me at my company is The Planet South. So planetsouth.net or at IG The Planet South.
I learned a lot today, Lathan. I'm serious. You know, I think I've been picking your brain over the, just duration of time, but it's, from Chicago to LA to DC to now in the Bay, and still putting out amazing, and still staying creative, you know. Um, it's amazing. And I think we should definitely keep developing and keep learning and keep growing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Roy. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you.